All right, everyone. So it turns out that the summoning event that the community managers were talking about in that Discord talk yesterday is 10 times rates for Dracomorph. Now, we've had these 10 times rates events before, but we haven't had one specifically for Dracomorph, and I'm going to do something a bit differently today. I'm going to break this video up into two parts. It's still going to be in one video, but in the first part, which I'm going to get into right now, I'm actually going to do some summons for Dracomorph. The plan is to do 50 Ancient Shards and 3 Sacred Shards, and that number is very specific on purpose, and I'll tell you guys the reason why. And then the second half of the video, I'm going to actually talk about the summoning event and whether I think it is worth it or not. Now, I'll just say this at the start, a little bit of the TLDR version. For the vast majority of people, and probably most people watching this video, this summoning event is not going to be worth it. I would still save your shards for the ×2 rates events that we have that come around every couple of months. Now, for some people, especially more mid and late game players, if you don't have a Dracomorph, this event might be a little bit more enticing, but still, I stick to what I always say, the ×2 rates events are going to be the best summon events of all. This one is not even going to come close to it, but I'm going to do a little bit of a gamble today. Let's try my luck. I don't have Dracomorph, and he would be an absolute game changer if I did get him. So let's jump right into the summons for the video today. Now, the plan was to do 50 Ancient Shards and also 3 Sacred Shards. So let's see. I have 28, which means I need to actually end up getting a couple of these big shard packs. I believe that's 2 of them, 11 each. That should be 28 plus 22, which is 50. Perfect. All right, so let's buy one of them here. Let's buy the other. That should be the 22 shards that we need to get to 50. All right, so let's just double check. Yep, that's the 50 Ancient Shards. Not going to pull all my Sacred Shards, and I'll also talk about why. But the reason why I wanted to go with 50 Ancient Shards and 3 Sacred Shards is we also have that Summon Rush event going on right now as well. And this should be just enough points in order to fully clear it. So I should get 2,500 points with the shards that I summoned today. So let's jump to it. 50 Ancient Shards, that's 5 multis. Let's see if we can get lucky. Here we go. 3, 2, and 1. All right, now, you guys are probably going to notice that the actual champions that I pull, it's going to be a lot more rares than normal. And again, that's because we don't have that ×2 event going. So you're just overall not going to see nearly as many good champions. You're going to see a lot more screens just full of 10 rares. The difference in the summoning rates when you have the ×2 event, 16% chance for epics, now from a 0.5% all the way up to 1% chance for legendaries. It makes a really, really big difference, and you'll definitely notice that in the actual summons that I do. So here's the second set of Ancients. Let's see if we can pull at least an epic or two, man. This is just brutal. This is one of the big reasons why I really don't like to do any kind of summons outside of these events. Look at that. Are we really going to go 20 summons right there? All rares. That's pretty unfortunate. All right, let's keep it going, though. I committed to it, so I'm going to do it. All right, we got our first epic, Royal Guard. At least that's a good epic. Now, I know I have him, but Royal Guard actually might be one of the few epics where I decide to, you know, have duplicates because he really is that good. He's got an insane skill. So he's got his auto attack, of course, which is also very good. Attacks on an enemy has a 50% chance, which you can up to 65, of placing a 60% decreased defense debuff, which is the stronger version of the decreased defense, for 2 turns. It's his second ability, though, Takedown. Attacks all enemies, damage increases according to enemy max HP. So that scalar ability right there, enemy max HP, anytime you have an ability like that, when you get to the mid and the late game, when you're fighting bosses with tons of HP, because now this ability scales off of their HP, it just does an insane amount of damage. So Royal Guard is a fantastic champion. Attacks 4 times at random. Each hit has a 60% chance of placing a decreased speed debuff for 2 turns. Each hit also has a 60% chance of decreasing the target's turn meter by 25%. Overall, a very strong epic champion. Probably going to be one of the strongest epic champions, mostly because of that second skill. So not a terrible pull. It's unfortunate the first 2 pulls were really not that good, but still got a couple left. Maybe the luck can turn around. So how crazy would it be if I got a legendary? Tashada. All right, I don't even want to talk about Tashada right now. Those of you guys who watched my last summoning session, you guys know why I don't want to talk about Tashada right now, okay? Let's just move on and pretend that didn't happen. All right, I think this is the last set of Ancient Shards here. Then we're going to move on to our 3 Sacred Shard pulls. Jizzo, really? Okay. This is why I don't like to do summons outside the double rates event. Now, if I did 50 pulls during a double rates event, you know, and I only got 3 epics, that would be pretty darn unlucky. But this is going to be roughly the average when it comes to doing pulls outside of the double rates. So now I should have 1,000 points for the summoning event. And because Sacred Shards end up giving you... What's going on here? Did my game just crash in the middle of a video? That would be very unfortunate. I think it did, because we're stuck on the loading screen right here. All right, I'm gonna have to pull my game back up. I don't think I've ever actually had that happen. This is my 150th Raid Shadow Legends video, and I don't know if I've ever had the game just crash like that right in the middle of a video, which is actually pretty lucky considering the game does crash a pretty decent amount of the time. So don't really know how to feel about that. Maybe that's the way Plarium is saying, you know what, you need to just stop summoning outside of double rates events. This is clearly not meant for you. All right, so we should be at 1,000 points. Yep, we're at 1,000, and because Sacred Shards give you 500 points each, that's the reason why I decided to do 50 Ancients and 3 Sacreds. So here we go. Let's see if we can maybe get something decent from the Sacred Shards. All right, what do we have here? Knight Errant. Let's see. Attacks an enemy has a 30% chance of placing Leech. What else does he have? Stun debuff for 1 turn. Resets the cooldown of this champion's skills if the target is killed. Oh, he's got the Weaken too. I think I remember this guy. I'm pretty sure I have him. Attacks an enemy has a 60% chance of placing Weaken for 2 turns. Damage is increased if they're at full HP. Okay, all right. Interesting. We got 2 more of these, and that's going to be it. I'm not going to do another summoning session for this event because it's just really not worth it. Terror Beast, I know I have at least a couple copies of this guy. Or I've gotten a couple copies of him. Let's see what else we have. Reflect damage on all allies. That's a nice ability to have for Fire Knights, especially considering it's on all allies. Fully heals and places a stun if the target survives. Okay, all right. And the last Sacred Shard, and this will be all my pulls for this event. Gonna keep on saving for those double rates. It's been a long time since we've had double rates for... Ooh, a Tyrell. I know I have him, but that's another very, very good epic champion to get. Now, if this was if I were on a newer account right now and I didn't already have pretty much most epics in the game, this would actually not be terrible. Even though I didn't get a legendary, even though I only got like, what was it, 5 or 6 total epics, I got 2 very good epics out of those pulls. I got a Tyrell and a Royal Guard. So in terms of epics, this would not have been a terrible set of pulls. Tyrell, of course, is going to be one of the stronger debuffers in the game. He's known as one of the best epics in the game, and he has been known as one of the best epics in the game for a very, very long time. So that should put me at exactly the 2,500 points that I need for the Summon Rush. There we go. We are done there, and that is it for the summons that I'm going to do for Dracomorph. Now, as I mentioned, I am going to kind of do 2 parts, and now that we've done the summons, I wanted to talk about the events. I didn't really want to spend a full 10-15 minutes talking about it because this event is very similar to a lot of the summoning events that we've had when it comes to times 10 rates. But first of all, I want to start off with why the summoning event is not going to be worth it for many players, including probably most people watching this video. So the chances to pull Dracomorph are still very low. As you guys saw, I just did 50 Ancients, 3 Sacreds, and even with that many pulls, my chances of getting him are tiny with that many pulls. Very, very low. In fact, just the quick math here, I'm not really going to get too crazy into it because I've talked about it before, but when it comes to the actual math and the numbers, you have a 1 in 200 chance of pulling a legendary. Now, we don't have double rates active, so it's not a 1 in 100 chance. It's only a 1 in 200 chance. It's 0.5%, not that great. Now, when you do pull a legendary, you have about a 14% chance that that legendary is Dracomorph. So even if you do get a legendary, a very, very good amount of the time, it's still not going to be Dracomorph because there are something like 62 or 63 legendaries in the game. When you multiply the chances of getting him by times 10, because there's still so many other legendaries, you really don't have the best chances of pulling him, even if you do get lucky. So it takes an average of about 1,400, not 14,000. It takes an average of about 1,400 Ancient Shards in order to end up getting him with one of these events going. Now, Sacred Shards, you have about a 1 in 16.66 chance to pull a legendary. Same thing, about a 14% chance that if you do get a legendary, it's going to be Dracomorph, which means it takes an average of about 120 Sacred Shards in order to get him. Now, averages are tough because not everyone is average with their luck. Some people get lucky, some people get unlucky. You could pull, 5 Sacred Shards and somehow get Dracomorph twice. The odds are very low, but it could happen. Or you could pull 1,000 Sacred Shards during one of these events and still might not get him. So it's important to know that the averages, if you're not lucky, unlucky, this stuff is really kind of tough to work with, but it's still important to at least know this information nonetheless. Let's see, no 2 times chances are active. So, with the amount of summons that you do pulling for Dracomorph, you could save those shards for a ×2 event, and even though you won't be getting an increased chance for Dracomorph, especially if you're newer to the game, a lot of the other epics and legendaries that you're going to get are still going to be very useful for your account. We also just had a ×2 Ancients event to drain shards, and then now we have another summoning event right off the bat, so it's going to be very difficult to really have the shards in order to summon for all of these events. Plarium, of course, definitely does this on purpose. You're going to have to pick and choose, especially if you don't spend a lot of money or you're free to play. We haven't had ×2 Sacreds in a while, so that's something else important to note. We had ×2 Ancients, then we had Voids, and then they went back to Ancients. Now, Plarium also does this. They like to do with their events to make sure that it's not 100% predictable. They change it up a little bit because if it's 100% predictable, then everyone can save their resources properly and they make less money. So it's not always going to be exactly what you might expect, just like we had with the ×2 Ancients. We should have had ×2 Sacreds by now, but we haven't. It should be the next summoning event, but it is Plarium, so it wouldn't surprise me if they decided to go back to Voids again or something like that. We have a February fusion event coming up. The Valentine's Fusion, it's going to take a lot of resources. These events are always designed to drain your resources before the big stuff comes up, so definitely be prepared for that. And of course, patch 1.13, they've been teasing about it for a while, but when it does drop, that's also going to be even more resources that you're probably going to want to save for it. So the overall theme of this is it takes a lot of resources, but it's probably going to be better to save your resources for other stuff. And as I always say, my #1 vote for summoning events is the ×2 rates event. Whether it's for Ancients, Voids, or Sacred, save your shards for when those show up. You're going to get a lot of value for them. Now, briefly, why I decided to summon, because I know this is a little bit unusual. I almost always end up skipping out on these events, but there's a few reasons. Just wanted to point them out. Draco would be an absolute keystone champion on my account. There's a lot of legendaries now that they're still legendary and they're still really good, but they wouldn't make a major difference on my account if I ended up getting them. Dracomorph is definitely not the case. If I got him, it would be a game changer on my account, and I thought it might be worth a bit of a gamble in order to just do it, just for fun. Now, I say a little bit of a gamble, and I know a lot of you guys are thinking, well, 50 Ancient Shards and 3 Sacred Shards is not a little bit of a gamble. That's a reasonable amount of shards, and you're 100% right. The reason why I say this is because I'm putting it in a video, and I don't think it would be very fun if I just did, 3 Ancient Shard pulls or 5 Ancient Shard pulls or just 1 Sacred pull. So I decided to beef it up a little bit because I did make it into a video. If I wasn't recording for YouTube, I can promise you guys I would definitely not have summoned as much as I did just now. I might have done 1 single pull just to kind of test my luck a little bit, but making videos and putting this out there for you guys to watch definitely makes it a lot more fun, but it also makes it a lot more enticing to at least do a few more pulls than I might normally do. So my account is also becoming more and more complete with champions, so when your account does become more and more complete, you start to get those epics and a lot of the keystone legendaries, then the value of getting duplicates kind of goes down, and if there's a ×10 event for a certain champion that you really need on your account, it becomes more enticing. Now, I'm not saying that it becomes 100% worth it, it just becomes more enticing. I still think the ×2 events are going to be best for everyone. We have that Summon Rush event going on as well, of course, so that's why I decided to do the exact amount of pulls needed to complete that event. So get a few extra rewards here and there for that, just a little bit of a bonus. And as always, it makes for a fun video and fun for people to watch. I know a lot of you guys like the summoning videos. Some of you guys don't, but a lot of you guys do. So that's why I decided to do maybe a few more pulls than I might normally do for this event. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that you guys learned a bit from this video as well. If you guys did do pulls, feel free to let me know what your luck was in the comments section. And with that all being said, that is going to be it for the video today. Thank you guys for watching. Feel free to subscribe if you're new. Feel free to toss a like as well if you want to help out. It means a whole bunch, and more raid videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, this This is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.